spirit, a soul. This is a practical approach, and quite frankly, you can't have a healthy lifestyle without taking into consideration all of the above. Are we in agreement so far? Yes?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, let's move on. Life's journey, tell me, is it really supposed to be like this? Now, we've been at it a while, so reflect back. Am I in your way, or can you see all right? Cool. All right, great. Is it really supposed to be like, ever feel like you're kind of up in the air? Still? A little bit? Feel like you have way too much going on? And even though we're seniors, we still have to-do lists, don't we? Do we get around to everything on them every day? Not hardly. So, haven't we gotten it all together yet? Do we know what to ask for? Are we looking in the right places? And do we know what we're missing? So the big question is, have you ever asked yourself, are we our bodies? Are we our minds? Well, if not, why do we behave as though we think we are our bodies and minds? Who are we anyway? What's it all about? What are we doing here? And where are we going? You've been pondering these questions a while, haven't you? I think so. We all have, haven't we? Anybody out there?
Yes.
All right.
I've been pondering since 1-year-old.
I kind of remember that, Tina. So most of us would agree that we're made up of these several components of the body and the mind, the emotions, the soul, and we all agree on that. So the body, I ask you, in Chicago, this wonderful Chicagoland that goes from Indiana to Wisconsin, tell me, can you dress up your body any old way you choose to?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
Okay.
Especially not in the wintertime.
Not in the wintertime. You want to dress down, get on the beach somewhere. Okay. So can you probably travel around the world and eat in lots of different ethnic restaurants in Chicagoland?
Yes.
I think so. You can go practically all the way around the world, I think, here. So the body's pretty well taken care of. What can we do about exercising it?
Walk.
We can walk.
Yoga.
Yoga. Yeah, we have a yoga day coming up too, don't we?
Run.
And what else? Run. How about Pilates?
Yeah.
Huh?
What's Pilates?
That's kind of a dance form of yoga.
Oh, I see.
It's an exercise. Right. And we can go to one of these wonderful fitness centers, and we have fitness centers in our living communities and so on. So we can do a lot for the body. What can we do for the mind? What will nourish and nurture it?
Read.
Read. Libraries, right? Internet. Sudoku. Scrabble. Bridge. Crossword puzzles. I mean, we do lots of things for our minds, don't we? Keep them real busy, real active. I think there's some people who want to come in the door, Calvin. Could you invite them in, please? Thank you. So we can keep our bodies pretty active. We can keep our minds pretty active. And what about the emotions? They keep us pretty active, don't they? You know, I know people who will take good, hard-earned money and go to a film just to be scared. You know people like that?
Yes.
I know people who have gone to the movies just to get angry. I know people who turn on the news just to get angry. I know people who like to exercise their emotions like crazy. Some of us ladies like to go to tear-jerking movies in the afternoon, don't we? Those girl flicks? Yeah. So our emotions get a good workout. Well, what about the soul? What nourishes it? What nurtures it? What's going to Make it healthy, happy.
Prayer.
Prayer and
Meditation.
meditation. Huh. So what's the difference between prayer and meditation? Well, my teacher, Sant Rajinder Singh, has been known to say that prayer is when we are talking to God. And we hope He's listening and giving us the answer we want. Meditation is when we stop talking and start listening to Him. Letting Him give us guidance and direction. Right? That's what meditation's about. So, do you agree with all that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? No? Maybe so? Cool. So, the mind. Who calls the shots in your life? Is it your mind that's in control? Or are you? Your emotional body is pretty self-involved, or is it empathic? We know an awful lot of young people who seem pretty self-involved. I think most of us get to outgrow that, don't we? Most of us. Some of us? Any of us? Do you share as deeply with other people as you do with yourself? And do you share with other people half as deeply as you do with yourself? You have your walls up? Do you share with yourself as deeply as you do with other people? Do you share with your real self? Who is your real self? Oops, got to go back a minute. Come on. Come on. Where'd you go? Well, you don't want to come up, huh? Who's in the driver's seat, we asked. We hope it's not Charlton Heston. He's not here anymore. Plato cautioned us not to put the mind in the driver's seat rather than the soul. Well, who's driving your chariot? The mind? The body? Soul? Sal does not want to come up. Ah, here it is. There's our soul. Is it a country cousin? Just waiting for the prince to kiss it and turn it into, or the princess to kiss it and turn it into a prince? How much time do you spend every day nourishing your soul? Exercising it. Acknowledging that it has the central place in your life. It does, doesn't it? Without the soul, none of us would be here, would we? So are you living in harmony with yourself, in harmony with your true self? Our track record as human beings would indicate that most of us wouldn't even know what that begins to look like. Mind, body, soul singing harmoniously together. Anybody know the name Dean Ornish? Dr. Dean Ornish? Yes, sir. Can you tell us about him?
He was a kind of a health, into his health thing.
Mm-hmm. Medical doctor.
Yeah, and he was, I saw him at a seminar once.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Right.
That's wonderful. Dr. Dean Ornish is a cardiologist. And the most amazing thing about this man is that when he was in school, in college, he had an Eastern guru who taught him about yoga, vegetarian diet, and meditation. And he wanted to see whether what his guru, his teacher, was teaching him had a practical application in the world. So what he did was go to a funding agency, and this is what he told them. I want to do a study with cardiac patients who have 3 to 6 months left to live. And I want to put them on a program of vegetarian diet, yoga, and meditation, and see if it has a positive impact on their lives. Well, you know what happened? They laughed him out the door. They said, "You're crazy, get out of here." So 6 months later, he went back, And he said, well, actually what I want to do is to put these people on a program of gentle exercise and a healthy diet and a mental exercise to reduce stress. What changed? Only the language. And what happened? He got his funding. And did it work? He's written a wonderful book, which is still available, was on the New York Times best-selling list for years, Reversing Heart Disease. Does it work? Yes, it does. Meditation will lower blood pressure. The vegetarian diet will take care of cholesterol issues and many, many other things. So all of this program that Dr. Ornish came up with and suggested is really a healthy lifestyle. And most of us didn't catch on to it very early on. Some of us caught on a bit, Tina. Phil Jackson, anybody here know who that is? Can't live in Chicago without knowing who Phil Jackson is. Or Los Angeles, for that matter. Anybody who loves basketball knows who Phil Jackson is. So he is a Zen practitioner. He's the winningest coach in the NBA. Why? Because he teaches his players to meditate. What does that do for them? It enhances their concentration. It allows them to get into a zone that permits them to have perfection in performance. I don't think that the players that get to work with Phil Jackson are the only superstars in the NBA. I think there are lots of very talented people playing basketball. They don't all work for Phil Jackson. But his players consistently have an edge, or they wouldn't be the winningest coach that he is. Oops. Now let me back up here just a trick. I think I'm hitting this thing too hard. So we need to redress the imbalance in our lives. When we begin to empower our soul through meditation, Samrajinder Singh says, the glaring imbalances in our lives, which are crying out to be corrected, begin to come into alignment, and we are transformed as human beings, as people. We're happier. We have more energy. We're more clear in our minds and more loving in our interactions with people. More appreciative of every day and everyone in it. So what are these benefits of meditation? Improved physical and mental health, greater concentration, reduced stress. Anybody here not have any of that? Excuse me? No stress in the room? Wow, you guys are amazing. How about heightened consciousness? Inner peace, spiritual awareness. You know, I have been giving talks throughout this country of ours and Canada and India and some other places for a lot of years, talking about a lot of things, mostly about meditation and the vegetarian diet. But the point that I'm getting at is whenever I ask people why they came, what they wanted to take away with them, it's usually the same thing. Guess what that is?
Peace.
Inner peace, you got it. Inner peace. And that's what we're all looking for, isn't it? A little knowledge and some inner peace. So what are our priorities in life? How do we structure our day? What are your priorities? How do you set them? How do you fill it up, this wonderful day that each one of us has been blessed with? Well, Actually, it seems to me that we are all pretty busy. And we have a lot of stuff going on in our lives, don't we? I don't care what age bracket we happen to be in, we're still very active beings, or we wouldn't be in this room right now. Isn't that true? So we're still thinking about stuff, we're still learning about stuff, we're still exploring and enjoying and going through lots of stuff. Looking for answers to physical well-being, stress, all those other things. And we have lots and lots and lots of stuff that we go through every single day, week, month, year. Seriously, look at all that stuff. Any of it look familiar? Huh? Oh yeah, we get to sleep. We get to do all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, we get to learn new things too, like text messaging. But is that enough? Or is that really what our lives start looking like? So if you've set your priorities, and it didn't include meditation, how do you get it in there? You know, there's this wonderful man called Stephen Covey. You may have heard of him. He writes business books, and I think he was a philosophy major because he sure does pull on cons a lot. But what he did in this wonderful book about first things first, and when he does a seminar, he takes a picture, and he's got these balls, and he asks people, you know, what they're doing today. And each one of those balls goes into the pitcher, and then he says, well, is it full? And some people say, yes. Some other people say, no, not quite. He says, you're right. So then he puts in marbles for the next lot of things going into that list. He said, now is it full? No. Then he pours in sand for every one of the things that are being mentioned here. He said, now is it full? And one person in the back of the room says, nope, not yet. And he pours in water for the remainder of the things on people's to-do list. And then he says, now how do you put in that most important thing that you didn't put in yet? How do you do it? Got to put it in first, don't you? So what is the priority? Well, the dishes are going to get done, aren't they? Of course they are. They've been getting done all these years. The laundry's going to get done. All those chores are going to be tended to. Yes, I'm going to get to the dentist, and I do have that hair appointment, and blah, 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 blah. But if I don't put the meditation in first, I don't put it in. And then I've cheated me. So we really need to balance our elephant. Don't you feel better when you're grounded instead of up in the air? I sure do. Putting first things first, prioritizing, does put balance in our lives. And if we don't put the meditation in first, we will have a very hard time squeezing it in at all. If we don't put it in first, and we save it for last, we'll be so tired we'll fall asleep instead of meditating. We call that sleepitation. It's not anywhere near as helpful. So let's talk about who your best friend is. You got one? You do. You're married to him. I can see it. So tell me, you do have a best friend, don't you? Of course you do. What would you do for that best friend? Anything? Everything they needed, wouldn't you? Seriously? Of course you would. And if somebody needed you to take them to the airport because the taxis were on strike and there wasn't any other way to get there, what would you do? You'd get out of your nice warm bed and you'd get in the car and you'd take them. I know you would. So, who is your real best friend? Excuse me. Who's the person who's always been there? The person who's always going to be there? The person who will be there even when you die? And that is, of course, your own precious, beautiful self. You are your best friend. So, aren't you worth some of your time? How valuable are you to yourself? You're more important than the dishes and the laundry? Not bad. I mean, it's nice to have those things done, but gosh, let's take care of ourselves. A little self-love is really kind of important, I think, don't you? So are you worth 10% of your time? 5% of your time? Any of your time? How much time do you spend with your best friend? 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, half an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours? Any, some, many? Please? Yes, no, maybe so?
At least an hour.
At least an hour, that's a good thing. So how much time will you commit to your best friend? Some? Any? An hour? An hour and a half? Any at all? Every day? No exceptions? No holidays? Not going on vacation and leaving your soul home without you, are you? I had a student tell me that once. They'd gone on vacation and they hadn't meditated for 2 weeks. They had left their best friend at home. Silly. We laughed. God's light is already within you, and to experience it, you just need to invert your attention through the senses and focus your attention within yourself and still your mind. And you need to meditate. You need to be quiet, still the body, still the emotions, still the mind. Let's talk about that for a minute. Swami Jinder Singh Ji Maharaj, when he's talking about how to meditate, suggests that we find a comfortable position in which to sit for a long time. And he says, sit at enough of a distance from other people so that they will not disturb you if they move, and you will not disturb them if you move. Close your eyes and focus your attention at the third or single eye. Now, the monkey mind does not want us to do this. You sit down to meditate and all of that to-do list starts jumping up, monkey mind style, and saying, oh, well, wait a minute, you didn't take, did you unplug the eye? So here's what you do. Recognize that the mind is like fire. It can be an incredibly good friend, but a really bad guy on his own. He can be a terrible tyrant. So we have to befriend the mind. We have to befriend our bodies by not feeding it things that are going to upset it or make it sick. And we have to befriend our mind by giving it something positive to do. And the suggestion is to repeat God's name. And God doesn't care what you call him. So just any name at all that works for you. Just repeat it slowly with a tongue of thought. Repeat any name of God. And as you gaze into the darkness lying in front of you, focus on the brightest point of what you see. Look straight ahead as you close your eyes, as though you were going to go to sleep, but don't go to sleep. Stay wide awake and focus your attention straight ahead of you. Look at the brightest part of whatever it is that you see. You may see pinpricks of light. You may see colors, stars, the sun, the moon, the stars. Whatever it is that you see, gaze into the brightest part of it. God's light is already within you. You just have to invert to see it. take all of the attention that we've been pouring into the world through that huge to-do list and feed our soul. So this sitting will be for a few minutes, and I'll bring you out of that meditative state at that time. And I pray that you receive exactly what is best for you at this time. So you want to just sit quietly, with your eyes closed, focused at that point behind and between the two eyebrows, with your eyes in a flat horizontal sleep. And I'll bring you back in a few minutes. And when you're ready, you can come back, please. I want to thank you for your kind attention. I want to thank you for spending some time with me today and with your best friend. We have some wonderful, wonderful news about the program that will be in Lamont this weekend. Healthy living lifestyle, a wonderful program, wellness weekend at the Lamont Temple. I think it starts at 8:45 in the morning and it goes all day long with great programs, cooking demos, and meditation talks by health professionals. And I think you will enjoy it tremendously. For further information, please see Kathy as you're going out the door, or visit the Science of Spirituality booth, which is number 81. I want to thank you again. And by the way, if you haven't entered for our drawing for a wonderful treasure trove of goodies, it would be a good thing to do that. Thank you much.